All right, calling this meeting of the Board of Public Utilities for February 4th, 2026 to order. We'd like to welcome all listening or viewing this meeting of the Kansas City Board of Public Utilities, whether in person or through technology. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio. During the public comment section of the agenda, community members who wish to speak to the board will be asked to provide their name and address, and then we'll have 5 minutes to speak. Members of the public using Zoom that wish to address the board need to use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the application or window to signal that they wish to address the board during the visitor comment section. Members of the public connected by phone only will need to press *9 to indicate they wish to address the board in the visitor comment section. Those attending in person should sign up on the sign-in sheet located near the entry. If you wish to speak with customer care regarding your account, please indicate that on the sign-in sheet. Comments are limited to 5 minutes and should be directed to the board. As these comments are public, the board cautions visitors not to disclose confidential account information or information on an account that is not in their name. Staff will provide individual account information or history. Staff will not provide individual account information or history in an open meeting. As always, the public may also email or call the BPU with any concerns. If you are using Zoom, the agenda and presentations will appear on the screen. As a reminder, this is a business meeting of the Board of Public Utilities, and we will conduct the meeting accordingly. The following rules apply to this meeting. Every person in this room will act respectfully towards each other. Personal attacks and accusations towards any person will not be tolerated. State your specific issue to the board only. We will then determine staff's involvement, and attendees shall refrain from side discussions or individual commentary that interferes with speakers or other attendees at this meeting. If side discussion is necessary, please take it outside of the boardroom. If any of the rules above are breached during the meeting, that individual is subject to removal from the boardroom. My name is Brett Parker, 3rd District and Board President. Other members of our board and staff include Jeremy Ash, General Manager, David Haley, Member at Large, Position 2, Chase Cook, 2nd District, Stevie Wake Sr., 1st District and Board Vice President, Gary Bradley Lopez, Member at Large, Position number 1, Rose Mulvaney Henry, Member at Large, Position number 3 and Board Secretary, and Angela Lawson, Acting Chief Counsel. Please remember to put phones on silent, and please also be aware that microphones are very sensitive and can pick up and record comments made anywhere in the room. Before we begin our meeting, please rise and join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Angela, can we have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Bradley Lopez.
Present.
Cook.
Here.
Haley.
Present.
Wakes.
Here.
Mulvaney Henry. Here. Parker.
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, before I ask for a motion to approve the regular session agenda of February 4th, are there any comments on the agenda?
Ms. Rose, so moved.
Wait a second.
We have a roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes.
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
All right, are there any comments on the consent agenda of February 4th?
Ms. Rose, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Wait a second.
We have a roll call.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez.
Aye.
Cook.
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes.
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries.
All right, with that, I'll turn the meeting over to our general manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a little bit of information to share from Jerry's technology team. Good timing. The world is ever more dangerous when it comes to the digitation and all the things that his team are doing to look out for the cyber world and keep our assets safe. We recently, in fact, just last fall, colleague of mine from Littleton, Massachusetts appeared on 60 Minutes. It's their small little 5,000 meter shop was had a cyber incident and a lot of their system was held hostage and captive for a while. So it's not just the big people, it's all the small players. Anybody that's got any vulnerability, they're a target. So Jerry, if you wouldn't mind, come on up and grace us with your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. And thank you, board, for your attention to this matter. I think most boards are acutely interested in cybersecurity, the threats and what we're facing. So we put together a presentation here that covers in short order the threat in front of us. So I'll go over what the agenda is, but I'll start off with the first slide of staying ahead. No system is perfect. We have to do business outside. We have to transact digitally with all of our vendors. So it's a very complicated world. And so we just have to stay ahead of the technology, and we use our people, our processes, and our technology. So once we've got those three legs of the stool here, we're constantly trying to improve them all. So staying ahead is the real theme through people, processes, and our technology. So the simple agenda I put forth for you is, let's talk about the threat landscape of our systems and what we're faced with. Once you see that, that's how dangerous this world is, we're going to talk about our current security posture. We're going to give our assessment and our technology vendors assessment. So we use third parties to help us look at this. We're not the only one that has a gauge on how well we're doing. So we rely upon others to do some penetration tests and to do some visibility of a whole lot of different categories. And then we'll briefly talk about our Security and Network Operations Center, which is the hallmark. Here in this room with me, I have got two key players, Brian Laverick, who's the director for our network and infrastructure. We have a couple of data centers. And we have Tyler here, who works in the SNOC full-time. And so these two players here and a couple of others here on a part-time basis and some contractors help us with our cybersecurity posture. That's the first start. We got some great talent here, and we'll go over how good they are and how good we are and where we think some risks are. Okay, so going on to the next slide, I will point out just a little bit of research, and we get a lot of information from other utilities. I illustrate that there's 3 utilities just in the last month who had a cybersecurity incident. Nova Scotia Power, there was a cyber attack there that breached their smart grid system, which is the meter system of our automatic meters. And then through a couple of networks, it gets the billing and meter information back into the data centers. That ransomware breach affected 280,000 customers. I don't have the facts on how well they mitigated it or how they rectified it. That information will probably be forthcoming in the next few weeks. Everybody keeps close to the vest on these public awareness and these customer issues. So we were just got the information that ransomware occurred in Nova Scotia. The next one is a Greenville Electric Utility, not to be confused with Greenville in the Carolinas. It's Greenville in Texas. So that was through a third party ransomware that was reported through the typical the payment system or the billing system. But really in this case here, it's almost like the cloud-based system we have for our MyMeter. Okay. Customers were unable to use the online bill payment system, and they couldn't access billing information while utility systems were isolated as a protective measure. I think they've mitigated that. I don't know whether the ransomware was paid. And typically in these circumstances, like the Colonial Pipeline attack that occurred in Georgia a couple of years ago, we had a team, I was working at Accenture at the time, and they were involved with that. I think the ransomware was paid, but it took so long to get it unlocked that the internal teams there with Accenture's help mitigate it and unlock it to get the systems back up. But Greenville is one. It's a Texas-based utility, and obviously the third example I'm providing is Texas State Utilities, a utility there that's got a few 100,000 customers. I've done research on this as much as an hour ago, closed-lipped on what really occurred. and whether the ransomware was there. So it's kind of like put under the covers, and very little information is made about it. I'll point out that Texas has, I think, almost 100,000 power plants, or excuse me, 1,000 power plants. And they have a supplier there does all the billing. It's quite different than Southwest Power Pool, but it's a very threat-rich environment with all their power plants, their one nuclear plant. It's a tough business to be in with the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT. I'm somewhat familiar with that. And so all those utilities there seem to be hit more than most. I think it's a target-rich environment. So vendor risk, I put down the tagline in the bottom of the slide, is probably the largest cybersecurity exposure area that we have. We have a lot of vendors we do business with, our banking, our billing system. All these vendors do transactions with us. And so another risk we have is the employee behaviors using the web and using email, where you can have bad links and very risky enterprises when you hit on a link. So it's a situation we've got with the threat landscape. We don't know how they occurred here. The old Ukrainian attack, they went through email, they exploited it, and then they pivoted throughout all the different systems to be able to lock it down. So I don't know the path or the vector here. The information's too new and people are really not sharing. On the next slide, our landscape overall, the means and methods vary. Number one, utilities remain a prime target. And the attackers are getting, as you would expect, getting smarter. They're not getting dumber. They're using all sorts of tools at their disposal. And with AI, it's even more dangerous and more quick, and they exploit vulnerabilities and at lightning speed. It's no longer, I say, be frank with you, if we get attacked, but how quietly and how long the attackers can remain undetected in our systems. So once they're in there, they tend to do some take a look at the landscape, and they try to penetrate farther to embed themselves in here. So we've got to have tools for that, which we do. So ransomware may have been the big topic a couple of years ago, still is, still a threat. It shifted from encryption of your data to extortion. They claim they have your customer data. They claim they have your personnel data, and they might, but they want to be able to extort money from a company to make sure that you don't have the customer exposure, regulatory exposure. And that's the new threat that we're trying to mitigate with encryption and also extortion. So take a look at data that's lost or stolen through data loss prevention methods. So it's not only the ransomware that can stop some of your business from transactions, but it's increasingly creating a business and governance risk that they've attacked your systems and you have a situation problem with the public exposure. Third party and cyber supply chain risk is the fastest growing exposure that we're seeing. So we've got some plans in place to mitigate that. On the right is a whole lot of words that you can peruse there, this word cloud that we put together. All of these things we have to take into account to find ways to mitigate it, to reduce the risk. The landscape is going at a lightning speed. Bad actors are moving faster. They're using automation and AI to find our vulnerabilities. Phishing and social engineering attacks are more convincing and scalable. You may get them a couple of years ago, and you can see that the words are spelled wrong on your email. You can see that some of the things don't make sense. The from address, you can tell that it's not a valid one that you do business with or you're familiar with. Now they're more convincing and scalable. Anybody can use AI to make a really authentic looking Microsoft email that you get. Ransomware as a service has lowered the barrier for attackers. And what this means is ransomware as a service, someone develops malware or a botnet and they sell it to low IQ criminals or smart IQ, doesn't really matter. They sell that software to others and let those criminals be the ones that attack it. And they're the ones that are the ones targeted by the FBI and not the one who actually sold it. So ransomware as a service is a software they sell, and criminals take advantage of it by buying that in the dark web. Supply to chain attacks are growing. Trust in our partners is at risk. So we've got some tools. I won't name what they are. In fact, none of the slides I have in here name the tools. They don't name the software or exactly what we're doing because that exposes us to a risk. So we now take a look at any partner we do business with. We've got a tool, which I'll show in a future slide, that takes a look at anybody we do transactions with. So if you look, any internet-facing thing that we have, could be email or going through the web, we have to do business to the outside. So therefore, our house is not completely blocked off. We have windows, we've got doors, ports, if you want to call them that in the cybersecurity world. So we have to have authentic traffic going in and out. So our business versus Jaren's in electric and water, we are an enterprise IT. So we've got to do business on the outside. So we have to have those openings there, and we've got to have secure doors and locks for them to get in through the ports. Whereas on the operating technology, the OT side versus me and the IT side, they have to have a secure door where transactions really can't get through. So they close it off. We have an air gap between our two systems. So we've got to do business, so we have to incur some risk. If we were to shut down completely, we really couldn't do business on the outside. So that's the landscape. The speed of the adversary is here. We know the threats are here. So I'm going to go through another couple of slides on our assessments. Our high-level assessment on the left is what we're experiencing. On the right is the good things, what we have. I'm going to go line by line item here and add some verbiage about why it's important and what it means for us. Nation-state sponsored attacks are growing, but attackers can come from anywhere. We look at a cybersecurity threat map, and the attacks are in the trillions of probes per day on one company. I was at a conference recently with the Cisco CIO, who I met in Orlando years ago, and he pulled me aside and he says, "We get 2 trillion probes a day. All we need is one to be successful." We're a much smaller target, but we're also don't have the resources he has. He has 10,000 IT professionals in his group at Cisco, and we've got much smaller than that. So we've got all the same threats. We have a less smaller staff. So we've got to be smarter than they are, smarter than the criminals. On the right, I will say up front, what I started earlier on is that we've got great cyber team. We've got tools that work, and we've got the great support by Jeremy and the team for our resources we need to be able to use these tools and keep abreast of the technologies. On the left, they've got unlimited resources and they use AI to enable their attacks. We use best practices approach. Well, I will say here, we put in place here a defense in depth. I'll have a slide on that that talks about the barriers, okay, that we've put in place, the perimeters that we've got in place. Attacks on that number 3, they scale rapidly. We've got some pretty nifty proactive threat detection tools. So if it was one thing that we would use that worked, it'd be easy. There's multiple things we've got and multiple layers to ensure that we've got these things identified and reduced or eliminated. Email phishing and social engineering is at industrial scale. We block so many emails. It's just unbelievable emails that we block through smart devices, through AI, some tools we've got to filter it. We use on the right access rights to our data. We use what's called a least privilege method here. So everybody in IT doesn't have access to all the different applications. You working in the finance group, if you have a role, you get certain privileges and you can't go anywhere else. So we've got these least privileged roles. We put this in place just a couple of years ago. That seems to work quite well ensuring that we reduce our risk. They attempt to exploit our human behavior and our insider threats that we've got. So we've got stepped up our game on employee awareness and training. We require employees to go through it. We follow up on it. We change the education annually. So it's quite interesting, quite helpful, quite educational, and hopefully we can reduce that threat somewhat, not eliminate it entirely. Fast target attacks go through supply chain. They go through our vendors that identify there's a risk. It's published. The attackers exploit it. They develop software to attack it. And then it's been a couple of days before we can get that patch put in place. We put in a patch system or a system where we constantly patch our systems and upgrade them. Everybody probably in the company here wonders why we're doing patches. We have to because we've identified a risk and therefore we try to fix it. They're constantly probing for security gaps. In one of the later slides, I have links there, which if I have the time today, we'll open it and you'll see a visual illustration of all the probes coming in from China through the Netherlands. Typically, it's through the Netherlands where they've got low security is a government regulation. And it goes through and hops through different domains all the way over to the United States into our company. When I looked in Florida, they would start in Miami, and then the attacks would just go up the peninsula, across to Georgia, over to Alabama, over to Texas. You would see this happen in real time. And we have an illustration to see that. It's quite shocking, to say the least. Okay, the next one. I talked about a defense in depth protocol. This is our strategy. This is how we're approaching it. A layered defense reduces our vulnerabilities that no single weakness, human, technical, or vendor can directly compromise our mission critical systems. So in the bottom of that slide is mission critical assets, wherever they be. It's the water, electric department, but it's our customer data, it's our meter data, it's our financial data. Those are our mission critical assets that we're trying to protect. The outside this diagram is the outside threat protection that can come in various ways. The perimeter security, I'm going to just go through one at a time and explain it really what it is. If you do an analogy on a perimeter security, it's almost like the fence around an airport. So all the fences have to have openings for vehicles that come in, for aircraft to land, they come in from a different direction. But that's the perimeter security, that we have a fence around our area, firewalls, using the IT term. The network security is really the analogy of in a terminals. Between terminals, you've got locks, you've got secure guards, you've got cameras, you've got detection tools to make sure that once the enemy has gotten in, it can't move between systems. So that's our network security. We've got protocols in place, great team here with Tyler and Brian and others to make sure that network security is robust and it does what it's intended to do. The endpoint security is the devices. It's the hardware. It's the mobile phones. It's the desktops. It's the laptops. It's the tablets. There's a whole lot of endpoints. So if something got into there, the endpoints are designed so that it doesn't propagate and leave. It's locked. You have passwords to get in. We use RSA tokens and everything. That's the endpoint security. And then the application security is password protected. In this particular application, that's basically our software. And there's data security. We put in things in place for ensuring that data or the luggage isn't taken out of the building. Okay, so that's in short what the perimeter defense is. We've got some preventive measures in place, and we've got what I would call here monitoring and responding with our SNOC, our operations center, and we have a lot of tools that can see the health of our servers. We can see the health of our software. We can see the health of the network. A lot of different tools. We try to have a single pane of glass to see it all and to get alerts. If a port was open, a door was open on a weekend, so we've got 24-hour monitoring, but we only got during the day staff. So we have to have tools that alert us when there is a problem. On my phone, on the weekend, I could get an alert that says, Jerry, you have a court that's open at this location. And Brian will probably get the same notification. So will the other members of the team. It's alerts, we can address it right away to close that door that was open through a upgrade or a patch, and it was open and vulnerable to attackers to come in. So we've got tools that alert us, and we've got the SNOC that has alerts, and other vendors we've got do third-party monitoring to help us mitigate any risk that we see. That's the defense in depth protocol. It's best practice. We put this in place a few years ago. Our coverage. So we've got tools I just described. I described the pictures there of the hardware and the software. So the software also is the web, it's the Chrome, it's the Edge, the type of web browsers. On the hardware, it's all the devices we've got. And the network, they take care of our servers and our databases. We encrypt the data. We have a backup system. Our team here does disaster recovery, and we do incident response plan. We do our drills, run these things periodically, also working with Jaren's group, who helps lead a lot of that with the grid exercises they have. So we practice, we train, we put protocols in place. So we have training, policies and procedures that help have a good governance over it. The next slide is third-party monitoring of risks. So a few years ago, we put in place a monitoring tool. I won't name what it is, but the slide you have there on the left is like a FICO score. So it's like your financial security rating that you rate 720, a 750, and if you're really good, you have an 850. So it's analogous to a FICO rating. So they take all of the companies that they monitor, and what they do is they have it's called a honeypot. Portugal is a few of them. Any internet traffic that leaves our building doesn't go directly to where it's going. It goes through servers and it goes through satellite. It goes a lot of different places before it gets to the server that's looking to access the data or the software. That's just how the nature of data traffic goes in this internet world, the World Wide Web. Intricate tentacles of data going everywhere. It's really searched by and trafficked by. Data goes in packets through I would call it just a means of getting the data to the right IP address, Internet Protocol address. So everything's run by Internet Protocol. So your device has a certain IP address. So what it does is it tracks any traffic there. It picks up malware, botnets. It takes a look at our desktop security. It looks at a number of categories for email traffic and so on. It measures about 25 different categories. We get a score of that, A, B, C, or D, and every one of them. If there's a malware or botnet, it'll actually tell you what it is, what the type is, where it came from, on anybody's that we track. Could be the unified government. We've got to do business with the unified government, with mapping, our GIS data, property tax records. A whole lot of transactions take place with other vendors, including our software vendors, our meter data management's in the cloud. So a lot of stuff out there we track. We track a number of companies. I think it may be 35 or 40 companies we track regularly, day by day. In that band in the top there, the dark color band, the gray band, is the utility or energy sector, namely electric and water utilities and gas utilities. If that sector is there, the line across the top is where we ranked over the last year. So I copied this from the software a couple of days ago. It's accurate up to now. I think we may have changed the date, the number we've got. I think we're 770. We may be 760 now, but we're in the top 5% or so in the utility sector. Can't rest in our laurels. We have dips and going down. We try to fix it, and it goes back up after 30 days or latency period. So that's the tracking we have here. We're not perfect, but we're one of the best utilities out there for this. Yes.
Excuse me, Jerry, does that The 5% of our industry, is that the entirety of the industry or just of
That's
public
across-
power?
That's all power in the US. I think it's mostly in the US, energy centers.
Thank you.
When I take a look at them, I don't see, the European utilities in there. It looks like it's just the US utilities.
Thank you.
Okay, but they can easily add that to their portfolio. Okay, this is just, comparisons to us. Municipals, industrial utilities, co-ops, some market suppliers in there, some market participants in some of the states. And you click on it, it'll give me a whole profile of what it is. My team can do that as well. So we monitor our security posture, and we track all of our vendors that we do business with. For example, if we had a payment vendor, we had a payroll vendor that did it, I could see there's a problem with it. I tell them that you have a problem. I see it here. I'll send them a copy of the report that I'm seeing, tells them where to look. So we all work as a good team with a collaborative nature. I track a couple of big companies, not just me, we track like Oracle. We do Oracle business, but Oracle has so many IP addresses that their rating is like 500. Universities are terrible because students are terrible, the websites they go to. But anyway, it's a good tool. It was the only tool we needed. It would be easy, but this is what we have. And we have others as well, but this is one illustrative example. On the next, in closing here, I'm going to talk about our Security Network Operations Center. Tyler's right there, the same man. That's there, but not so much a haircut here. He works at, you'll see in the screens behind you. What we did is a few years ago, we took over a conference room that wasn't used during COVID. And we said, put some large maps in the screen, put the desktops here with a stand-up desk they can work on, so they can monitor applications, they can monitor security, they can monitor user behavior, network, a whole bunch of things they measure there in a single pane of glass, a lot of different tools. They have a presentation there ready for you. If you ever want to ask Jeremy if you'd like to just make an appointment with him, and we'll have to give a presentation for it. It's kind of a nifty area. Really excited about it. They like to get some thought into them because they're in that room all alone. Okay, so it's a good presentation. He's practiced it. Brian's helped put it together. It's a good team. So the comprehensive coverage on that slide there, a whole bunch of things we do. And if there's an incident, that's the headquarters that we're going to be operating to mitigate the risk and eliminate the threats. With that, I did have a slide that showed where it was at for security protocols. I didn't want to show, and we didn't want to show where the SNOC is located, but it's our IT area. Just make an appointment. If you'd like to see it, they'd be happy to show it to you. So in closing, in this last slide, 3 major challenges: the pace of change, complex ecosystem, and there's a human factor. I would say that most cybersecurity professionals say there's a talent shortage. I don't think we've got that. We've got the talent we need. I'm really happy with it. They're hard to find and retain. We've had almost zero attrition in the IT department and none in the cybersecurity area. So we've got a complex system. We've got 200 or so applications, hard to keep up with. Employees here, we would say we have third-party risk or vendors and supply chain, but here it's really our employees are the most common task risk. So we can nail that down. We've got some real improvements there. So that's my presentation. I think that was the last slide. So thank you. Do you have any questions? Oh yes, great. Here's an illustrative example that I had links in the presentation. This shows, in this case here, it's SonicWall. There's a couple of other vendors that do it. These are real-time attacks from different data centers. It's ironic that data centers are the ones that produce the AI, and these data centers that have the AI are what criminals are using to develop tools against us. Kind of a irony to the whole thing. You can see here they're attacking. Typically, they attack huge data centers. I will say that the United States, under the auspices of some agencies here, they attack those companies back. So you can see some of the ones coming from the Microsoft data centers that I've seen. You can see that they attack the ones who attack us. So just a good illustrative example. It's just for, wow, that's interesting. We can't do anything with it. other agencies in the federal government do use it. They actually have a whole litany of things that name where it came from, and they take measures to reduce the threat that comes from these probes and the packets of data they have to infiltrate us. So, what's that? Okay, here's another one. This is from Bitdefender. There's Nordic Track, there's a whole lot of them, but companies like Meta, Google, and others use these tools here in a very precise and technical manner, that more than just the high level one here. They can see where the attacks are coming, what threats they are. Do they have the tools to mitigate it? Kind of an interesting thing I'll just show you here. We don't use it, it's just for illustrative purposes. With that being said, that concludes my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. Jerry, you know, I'm always enthralled with your presentations, and this one was wonderful as well. You know, as we're going through this, I looked up, do you know what your 2026 approved budget is to do all these things? I looked it up so I can tell you. $17.5 million for your IT department. $17.5 million. And that seems like a lot of money, right? Out of a $430 million budget. But it is not a lot of money. So you and your team are doing an unbelievable job of protecting this utility in this community and our very, very important power and water resources with a very little amount of money. So I want to make sure that that is known, because it's impressive. And I know that, you know, since you've come to BPU, there has been really an emphasis on a lot of these things. And I know that this is very difficult to keep up with. And so I would applaud you and your team for doing that. And if I had to look at that risk map every day, like Tyler, I don't know if you have to look at it, I would go apoplectic. So thank you for doing your job, because that's scary stuff. And I know you guys all take it in stride because this is your job and you do it well. But thank you for sharing this with not only us, but the community as well.
Well, thank you. The 17.5 billion in the dollar there is for the entire IT department, for the applications network team, and so on and so forth. The cybersecurity, I won't name.
Okay, you're like,
it.
really, it's only 4 cents, Rose.
Yeah, but the cybersecurity team is a small fraction of that larger number.
Okay, so it's far less than 17.5 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And let me just add with what Rose said. Rose has stated, what for the cyber attacks that you mentioned that already happened this year, the cost to mitigate such attacks would probably cost, you know, quite a bit more than what the budget would allow. I'm just saying that I understand the security, the importance of security in the utility, and I think it's really underestimated. But we certainly thank you for bringing to light what's involved in what you do here at BPU, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Jeremy, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. Their team works hard every day and after hours. I know Brian gets wore out because everybody has Brian's number. So Brian's a lot. Sometimes some of us have it to skip finding out who's supposed to be on call, and we just call Brian because he's been answering the phone for so long. So always good to hear that stuff. I think the main theme Jerry said there's changes faster than we can keep up with. So Abby's here along with some of the other team members that we might need to just kick back through a little bit of reminder of some of the card fee changes that we've had for the 2026 year. So Rob's helping her out, and off we'll go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here today to provide some information and context around credit card payments at BPU and the recent upcoming change of the 2% fee. My name is Abby Fry, and I'm the Chief Administrative Officer here at BPU. So beginning March 1st, a 2% processing fee will apply to customers when they pay using a debit, credit card, or digital wallet. Customers can avoid that fee by using ACH or a checking or savings account linked to their for their payment, either automatically or individually month by month. They can also pay by check or kiosk, which are also free. BPU has been covering this cost since approximately 2020, and it increases from $800,000 to over $900,000 annually. In an effort to find ways to be cost effective and reallocate some of these funds to other expenses in the organization, this was an outlier that we felt like was an option for us to make this change. It was discussed at the budget meeting back in November, I believe, but I know that's been a while, and there was a lot of context of what was discussed at that time. I will say that this fee is not collected by BPU. It's a pass-through. Our third-party vendor is the one that takes the credit card payments. And so it's a fee that they charge. And so it's a pass-through. That money does not come to BPU at all. Are there any questions or concerns? Yes.
So thank you for giving this presentation and update. I had some questions, not questions necessarily that I had, but questions that community members asked, and I just wanted to ask those questions and then get some
Yes,
clarity
please.
on them.
Yeah.
So one question was, this is about the Dropbox. Do you know what the processing time for the Dropbox is? And is there a standard time?
I can get that information for you.
Thank you.
I believe it's at least daily.
Hi, I'm Gabriella Freeman, and we do pick up the Dropbox Monday through Friday, every hour on the hour. So we pick it up at 8 o'clock, and then we pick it up again the last time at 5 o'clock. So it's every hour. And Mondays, we do go out every 30 minutes because that's a heavier day.
Yeah. So like if your bill is due on the 14th and you come and pay it at 11:59 on the 14th, is that still gonna get charged as late, or would that still be-
11:59 a.m. or p.m.?
Whichever one is the day before?
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry.
like
So you said it's due. Can you repeat the question?
11, like if it's due an hour before, there's someone to pick it up. If I turn in my payment at night at the Dropbox.
Right. So we stopped picking up the Dropbox payments at 5 o'clock. It's
So
just
after 5 o'clock,
Yes.
it's late.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I want clarity
Yeah,
on that.
sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
The next question is, this person asks, what about online scheduled bills paid through bank, which is different than auto bank draft? Person schedules electronic payment from the bank to the vendor rather than the vendor pulling it from the bank. Will that get,
There is no fee for that.
there's
Yeah.
no fee for that?
So yeah, you can, if you go onto your financial institution website and schedule it to be sent to us, there is no fee. If you have it set up to where BPU has access to your account and pulls that money on your payment day, there's no fee for that either.
Okay. And then my last one is, this person said, I understand the processing fee with credit cards, but their communication stated it would apply to payments made with cards or digital wallet. They state that it is illegal to charge a fee to debit card purchases, and that is what is in my digital wallet. So will it apply?
So it does apply to debit cards. What is different if you go to a retailer and swipe your card and enter your PIN for a debit, that is a different transaction. And our payment vendor does not offer the ability to enter a PIN. And so that's why it is charged a fee, because when they use a debit card's typically linked to a Visa or MasterCard. It is processed just like a credit card.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference is the inability to enter a PIN.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And so I appreciate you sharing that previously this was something that was already budgeted or paid for by BPU. And so at this last meeting, there was a decision to give that payment back to the people, and then that allowed us to redistribute that budgeted money elsewhere.
Yes, that's correct.
Would you all happen to know where those redistributions happened, or it just opened up the pool for us to move it in different areas?
There are several things. Some of the things that were discussed was the reduction in our our revenue this year. And so we were looking at ways that we can still maintain adequate operations and do what we need to do within the amount of money that we're able to collect. Is there anything you want to add, Andrew?
Yeah, so really, it wasn't in any one particular spot that these funds are allocated, right? So on the electric side, it's been a couple of years since the rate increase went through. We did ask for less than 1% on O&M spending for this year, although we're seeing, 3+% inflation over the last 5. So those are things that we're trying to do, is defer the rate increase by pushing these off, by finding other buckets of money that we spend that we think may be more useful elsewhere. And so those are the programs that we continue to fund hardship and those programs, some of those utility services. Those are money that we're pushing out the door that are north of $500,000, right? That's where these funds can come from instead of pulling from those funds. And so really it's taking from people that may be doing this more for points versus other reasons, right? If you're a bank person, you have the ability to either use your credit card or your bank. If you're unbanked, for example, you don't have that ability to pay by credit card. Therefore, you're paying the fee that all the rest of us may think is useful or helpful. So
Thank you. Those are all the questions I got.
Rose? Chase?
Hey, Abby, thanks for the presentation. On your presentation, the last thing says that there's a payment fee FAQ on the website. Do you know specifically where that is?
So we are going to be launching that tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes. So there will be information provided with an FAQ, and then also how you can set up a bank account on your MyMeter. And so if you want to make that change from a credit or debit card to a bank account, what that looks like.
One of the things we wanted to do was make sure we had this discussion tonight, since this is the month moving forward. So that if there were things that we need to edit or update or change as it relates to the FAQ, we make sure we capture those things. And again, as Abby said, we're meeting in the morning at 9 or 9:30, I can't remember which, to go ahead, give one last run through that, along with the other things we're going to be doing from a communications campaign standpoint for this month of February and beyond, related to this whole issue.
And we understand the frustration that the communication caused, and we know we can do better. We've taken lessons learned from that. We've put together a communication plan over these next few weeks before it's implemented March 1st. There's going to be a mass email that goes out with a link to the FAQ with a lot of detailed information. There's going to be some social media information. In addition, we are going to do some targeted communication for customers specifically who are on auto pay with a credit or debit card. Come March 1st, if you go out to initiate that transaction, you will see that fee and you have the option to back out before it's charged. We want to make sure that anybody that is set up on an auto payment with a debit or credit card is aware that that fee is coming and they're not surprised by that. So there will be multiple attempts to reach out to those customers before March 1st.
Thank you. I don't think anyone's going to want me to ask this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there any opportunity, and I know this is the budget concern, but I know we've talked about this for years, for the last many, in fact, I think we've talked about this every budget cycle since I've been on the board. Is there any way we can push that back to March 15th, just to give us a little bit more time, since the initial communication on this was a little shaky? I'm not asking for a full month, asking for Ides of March.
I mean, I don't think that's a problem.
I understand there's
why-
financial implications.
Why we
so-
wanted to have this conversation, but I mean, I think that's something we can look at in our meeting tomorrow, make sure we fully run down that something, does not run afoul of something with Paymentus or any of our other the work we've done to get the softwares ready, but.
No, and I know there's other moving parts, so I apologize, and I didn't mean to
No.
spring that on y'all. I just thought of it, I guess, while Abby was talking.
I just verified Rob's working with us on this project, that should not be an issue.
No? Well, again, I'm only one board member, just asking, just a girl sitting here asking asking for some extra days.
Well, and
Mine's already on ACH. I don't want anybody to think I'm, not for me.
And, you know, I will own the, you know, the communication, could have been done better. And, like I said, we have taken a lessons learned from that on what we're going to do in the future with changes like this for the customer. So, that has not fallen on deaf ears at all. And so, and one of the reasons I wanted to come up here today, is to get it out there on record. I saw some of the comments on Facebook myself, about, you know, they went back to previous meetings looking for conversation. And of course, it was not in there. It was in the budget meeting and combing through 6 hours of conversation. And so having it available for people to see, having this discussion, the information available, most recently for them to be able to access that.
Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
One, before you take a conversation, one thing to keep in mind is, again, I'm not opposed to the idea. We could do whatever you guys want to do. Is the money the best spent in this manner? And if it is, that's great. We do anticipate it likely to be for those 2 weeks, somewhere around $35,000. That's kind of the cost for that issue. So again, we can do whatever we need to do, but that's likely about the range that we'd be looking at for 2 weeks extension. So.
Chase?
She actually answered my question.
Oh,
Well, and I think, I mean, to that end, so, you know, one thing that's important, I think, to remember is that this fee that we were absorbing was being absorbed for revenues that weren't ours, for money, you know, we collect billing for other agencies. And so, we were actually eating a fee for money that we were, you know, that didn't stay here, didn't do anything for us or our customers. So, that's another piece I think we could have probably done a little bit better on communicating to.
Just to clarify on that, so when, obviously the BPU is more or less the bill collector for the unified government. So when someone paid their total bill on there, we were paying the 2% fee for that total bill, not just for the BPU portion.
Correct.
That's correct.
Or we are
That's
until this
correct.
goes into effect.
And-
Yeah, it was for the full amount, or if it was a stormwater only bill that was paid by credit card, we were paying that fee as well.
You know, the other thing about it is we have a lot of customers, for whatever reason, make multiple payments. You know, so if, you know, somebody, let's just say one of our FlexPay customers or something like that, usually they're getting on and doing $20. They're giving us $20. We're losing, you know, at the old rate, $2. The transaction rate was $2 per transaction, or $1.95. So if they paid us $20, we got 18, and they, you know, they didn't get their full credit onto their things.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for walking through this. I know we had a pretty good conversation around it at that budget meeting, but not everyone drops everything to spend their entire, day in November following along. But I'm going to be a broken record about this. If we could provide all the services the utility does for free, we would. The hard thing is that all of these things cost money, and like everything else, all the inputs to this go up year after year, just like everything else in each of our budgets. And when we say the BPU has been paying this cost, that means that our community is paying this cost, because that is where the money to fund this comes from. So I acknowledge it is a challenge to get these things changed over. And I know, even though we talked about it in November, when I got that text, I went, oh, I probably need to get that updated for myself. But I just appreciate looking for every possible way we can take dollars that are flowing out of our community and keep them here, right? If we can not be charging those from our community, or not be paying them out to something that has nothing to do with providing clean drinking water and reliable power, I'm for everything that we can do in that vein. And BPU has a big budget, but $900,000 is real money, even in the context of a budget of that size. And so I appreciate this. And there are not that many things that we get to do that can long-term reduce some of the cost while not affecting providing clean water and reliable power. So I appreciate the effort to find some.
Just, in sort of a comparison or comparatively speaking, some of you remember going through the rate hearing process and, that's kind of like it's not the favorite thing for anybody to do. So we went through that whole exercise, right? To really actualize about $5 million worth of revenue on the electric side. When, finding something like this provides 20% of that number, to your point of how do we push off for another year to another hearing to another increase. So those are the things we're trying to do. I'm sure we're going to find more. Sure, they're not going to be popular all the time, but I don't think that you pay any of us to sit up here and just take the easy way. So we're going to continue doing our work. Take some lumps on the process sometimes, but we'll sit down and look at the process and figure out how we fall forward. What did we learn, and how do we not repeat it in the future?
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And it looks like we have at least one speaker, maybe. Mr. Snyder, if you would come up and state your name and address.
Name's Ken Snyder, I live in the Rose Hill subdivision. I come up here a lot of times and I let you all know exactly how I feel. I am tough, I am merciless, but my integrity demands that I am fair. This time, I'm going to give you all just a little bit of a pat on the back for one of your crews. On the 31st of January, well, back up first. I've been a little unable to get over to my second house. Some knee issues. So I've been watching things on my security cameras. I was a little surprised when I saw in the history that there was a large BPU truck presence in front of my house over there. Went back and looked, and as it turned out, we had a little water issue on the BPU side. It showed up first about 2:30 in the morning, and you could tell it was starting to run pretty good. 11:28 that day, the first truck showed up. I don't know if you have leak detection or something that showed it, or if somebody called it in. 12 o'clock, that truck left. The cone was put out to market. 12:22, a second truck shows up. 12:30, a third truck shows up, and utilities are starting to get marked. 13:30, fourth truck, main is shut off. 1400, the backhoe arrives and digging ensues. 1430, the hole is open, water's pumped out. By 1520, the repair is sealed. You can literally see on my cameras, you can look right down the hole and see the leak has been fixed. By 1545, they start backfilling. 1620, after the second truck arrived, the backfill is complete. By 1630, that crew is gone. In a span of 5 hours, we went from having water flowing down the street to having it completely finished. Not too bad on a Saturday with the weather that we had. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to nail you any chance that I get when I find that you've screwed up. This is one time that your crews did a good job. That is all.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. Steve Bach, Mr. Bach. If you wouldn't mind, give us your name and address.
Steve Bach, 2406 North 100th Terrace. I'm in Wind Hill Estates Homeowners Association. I have talked with friends and neighbors, and not one person has gotten notification about the fee, 2% fee they're getting ready to charge. No one has heard about it. I got it in my email and I found it. I'm concerned because people are being blindsided right now. I live in a age-restricted neighborhood where on my street, at least a half a dozen of our residents have no computers. They don't run the internet. And if they get something in the mail, they probably won't understand what the fee is. So I'm very concerned about how this fee is being applied to our community. And with the speed it is, I understand you've had budget meetings, but I guess unless we go on and look at your minutes, we won't see that. I'm confused about the billing because I've talked to Atmos, T-Mobile, Sam's. I've gone to my bank and my bank does not charge 2% for my debit card. My debit card is attached to my checking account. And none of these has required my PIN. So I'm confused about the information that's being shared tonight. I just feel like our community is being blindsided and that there may be people who are being charged a fee that maybe shouldn't be charged a fee because their institutions aren't going to require it. So just like you to take that into consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. Rob, is there anybody online with their hand raised?
Yes, sir. I have one hand raised. Ty, I'm enabling your ability to speak now. You'll need to unmute.
Ty, if you would, state your name and that you live in the Parkwood neighborhood and you can get at it.
Thank you very much. My name's Ty Gorman. I live in the Parkwood neighborhood. I wanted to first mention that I had tried to come by in person and couldn't gain access to the meeting today. Just couldn't get through the locked door. So continue to encourage there to be other methods for folks to engage in person, whether through partners or better access to the building. Second, I want to acknowledge that I've come to you all for the past few months looking for longer term affordability and pollution reduction plan that you acknowledged in the last working session had been received. And a big part of that was energy efficiency and residential demand response programs that we've met about for years and that you have offered. I installed a new heat pump a few months ago and a new hot water heater. In December, they were installed because I couldn't get the application through till 2026, I guess, or some such thing. Those rebates were denied because apparently those energy efficiency programs have been ended, or demand response programs for residential. Also, some information was shared with me that energy efficiency programs and demand response opportunities for residents to make money or to save money on their bills haven't been received by the public. It's pretty much only been commercial entities for the majority of the time being able to take part in that. So, a big part of the plan that was shared by Current Energy Group last month was that saving energy is the cheapest method of reducing the BPU's requirement to purchase market energy. It's the cheapest form of energy is not using energy. And it seems like those energy efficiency and demand response efforts are not being expanded. They are in fact being reduced. So I want to flag that for the board and for future discussion. I've also been I think just because I show up to these meetings, I've been approached by a number of neighbors and other folks in the community letting me know that all the money for assistance is seemingly unavailable. The efforts that people make who can't pay for their bills or who are struggling to find assistance programs are increasingly Byzantine, from the inability to find anyone at all to answer phones from the various folks that the United Way contracts out the assistance to a few minutes that you have to fill out an application on a couple days a week, or a ton of paperwork and documentation that nobody necessarily has to try to qualify for it. There's all these ways in which utility assistance for folks who can't afford it are being people are being blocked from that assistance. So want to raise that issue that I'm hearing from a variety of sources for future discussion. And I know I probably don't have too much time left, but we'll just want to lift up that economic development is moving forward, and that the not only data center but large electric user agreements with the United or with the Unified Government Economic Development Group are moving forward, and a power agreement needs to be negotiated for 24/7 clean energy capacity with the BPU, or else the ratepayers for the BPU will be subsidizing any new large electric user, because either through pollution or Neerman's
You have 30
costs,
seconds.
or Neerman's very high electric costs, or market costs for gas plants that are very high. If the new large electric industrial users are not paying for 24/7 clean energy capacity, they will be pushing that cost on to residential and small business users. Thank you for your time. Hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ty. Before we, I guess, as we move on to miscellaneous comments, and maybe to provide a little good news about what we do with our generation. Andrew, I don't know if you can provide a few statistics. We had a really good discussion this afternoon about our assets and how Don's team did a fantastic job of keeping them rolling through the weather. Mr. Snyder, thank you for coming in. Pretty well the bulk of the water team is here, so I'm sure they appreciate the kudos that you passed along as well. But both teams responded very well during this last weather event, and just thought it might be important for Andrew to just talk a little bit about why we have the diversified portfolio that we have, what it means, and how it performed for us through this event real quick.
Yeah, and as you guys know, I preach that diversification mantra a lot, and we're further diversifying here in 2026 through additional solar, additional storage. We'll see how those things function. But this weekend, a week ago, from the, I guess it was the 23rd through the 27th, that 5-day stretch, we effectively call Winter Storm Fern at this point. So unlike Uri, which happened in 2021, this is called Winter Storm Fern. Not near as severe as Uri was. The prices weren't near as steep as Uri was. But Uri surpassed $1,000 per megawatt. Fern was normally about $300, so about a third of the cost overall. But with that said, is generally at this time of the year, we're looking at LMP's market prices $40 to $60 at the top end of our on peak. And again, this was over a weekend and everything else. So we had really great news through Winter Storm Fern. Our second best week in the history of BPU, likely. And so all those funds that we will collect will go back through the energy rate component, right? Those are costs that we absorb when the fuel cost is there. And when the revenue exceeds those fuel costs, we push that back through the energy rate component. So we'll do that again. So some interesting facts about this period of time is just during Winter Storm Fern, the revenue from SPP. So this is the revenue we generated from our generation sources, less the cost of serving all of your power. I wish you guys would have kept the lights off a little bit more, but it was $4.6 million in excess of what that load cost was. And that load cost was extreme. We had load cost of $11.6 million just for those 5 days. On a normal monthly basis, we average about 4.5 to 5 million for the entire month on an average basis. 5 days, 10.15 million for that 5 day stretch. For the entire month, So yes, 10.15 for those 5 days. That's incredible. Double any normal month. So what we did see is we've seen outside production and revenue off of a number of units. Not all units performed super well, but a lot of units performed really well. Nearman, for one, it generated $7 million in revenue for those 5 days. Very important because the fuel cost is largely fixed. So the fixed fuel cost plus the revenue creates very high margins, right? Dogwood performed pretty well. Again, we've seen average natural gas prices over that stretch north of $20. So it averaged about $23 over that stretch, with peaks as high as $50 per decatherm. Again, on an average over the last 5 years, it's been about $3 a decatherm. So you can kind of see how expensive it is. And even Cimarron Bend, our large wind facility, produced 1.3 million during that 5 day stretch. That's really incredible for a wind resource. It was derated. It didn't produce as much as you would hope that it would produce during that time. But again, it is a fixed price, and therefore it did generate really well. So really, CT4, Nearman, and Dogwood, our thermal units, really outproduced our entire load and therefore benefited everybody. So we will see that $5+ million get siphoned back through the ERC to reduce that burden when we do the next true up in the next quarter. Really great news. What we're going to find is you're going to hear from a lot of other utilities around the country that are really punitive in nature, because most of those utilities are really heavy gas or other mechanism, and that didn't perform near as well because the squeezed margin, right? As we see that natural gas price goes up, and yes, the LMP, the market price goes up, but you're making this much, but you got to go buy that gas and you got to pay for that. So that diversification, and we do have gas units just like we have coal units. It is very important, in my opinion, very important, but this was a really great week for BPU and for Wyandotte County. And so we did cover 100% of our load. We did all of those things. So it was really good news. And I appreciate, Don and Jaron and those team doing all of that keeping those units running, right? That's the important piece. It's those guys operating those units, and really impressive. So.
Thanks, Andrew. Again, big kudos to the ops teams for response during unfavorable weather when the rest of us are home warm, I hope. So I'm not going to go through my normal monthly thing much to say, I don't want to take any focus away from the ops groups. You have the impact report. But I would also like to take a minute. Steve Green could come up to the podium. I think he needs to tell you something. So Steve's probably a bittersweet moment for him, because I know he enjoys coming down here and seeing you all monthly, but I think this might be the last one maybe. So
This is the last one. I appreciate everything the past board has done for the utility, especially the water department. Like you said, Ken Snyder talked about today. That's what BPU employees do. They try to support this community in providing water, electricity, and that's just a small example of what those crews like. A lot of times when we're at home, our staff are working at night. All weather doesn't matter. I've been out there, wind chills below 25, middle of the night. They do an amazing job. So I've had a great career, 37 plus years. Gonna miss it. Hopefully not too much, though I don't want to go back to work somewhere else, but yes, I am gonna miss it. And it's been great. What this utility community has done for me, my family, it is a great place to work, and I hope everyone has a chance to work with a place like this.
Well, I'm sure as we get later into the month, there'll be some sort of reception for Steve. And we'll make sure you all know about that in the event you'd like to come by and tease him.
Well, Steve, hang on a second. I didn't know this was gonna be your last meeting, so sorry about that. Just in the last couple days, a resident reached out to me about a water situation that they thought was maybe attributable to a natural spring, and I don't even know where that stands at this point. But I sent it to Jeremy, and he sent it to you, and your team, I know, was out the next day doing a survey of that area. And, much like what, Mr. Schneider told us this evening, those are folks that are on the front lines out there doing a thing. And this actually was freezing up a street over in Turner. And you're doing that in one of your last weeks of work here. So, I'm sure it was a good delegation on your part, but also, your commitment doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you very much for everything you've given to the utility and to the community.
Yeah, leak detection is my favorite thing about my job.
I'm sure it is.
I love leak detection. So, yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Ready for board comments, Mr. General Manager?
It is definitely your turn.
All right. Well, I think for 2 years we went from one end. I'm going to reverse it for my year here chairing these meetings. So, Senator Haley, do you have any board comments?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do. I certainly want to begin where we've ended off, recognizing how much we appreciate Steve Green and what he's meant to our water department. I didn't know either, as has been mentioned, that he is leaving us so abruptly. Well, not abruptly. I guess we had a little notice, but to thank Steve really for what he has meant to the entire utility, and certainly through water and what he has done. I was pleased and honored. You should know, Mr. President and members, when we accepted at AWWA the years that Steve's leadership had contributed to our being just an honoree among the organization for AWWA, and how highly lauded BPU has been because, in fact, Steve has been there. So, Steve, thank you. I wanted to add to what has been already said and how much we appreciate that, and Godspeed as you continue on. Also to thank Jerry for the cyber update. Comprehensive and aware, and it does bear repeating how crucial it is for our maintenance and our very survival. And to thank Jerry for the exhaustive review, for which I know we're all grateful. Do want to echo the concerns expressed by one of the board members, one or a couple of board members, as well as one of the public members, about the 2% that's coming in and how that will affect or disaffect. I like the line of questioning as to what it costs in dropping in the kiosk, the 11:59 rule, if it's counted the next day, if it's in before midnight, will it not be subject to a late charge? But then also the other subcharges like that 2% that will be implemented. And I'm pleased to agree with another of our board members, at least to offset that implementation, at least until March 15th. If it must be then at least to give our paying public, a little more time to adjust to that abrupt change. Appreciative of the meeting this evening, Mr. President and members, and hope everyone keeps warm. And I thank you for allowing my comments in reverse order. Glad to start us off. Thank you.
Mr. Cook?
Yeah, I'd like to first thank the presenters tonight. Great, all the great information. Congrats to Steve as well. I know I didn't unfortunately get to work with you as much, but you did give a great presentation and a lot of great information when we did get to go down and visit your facility. And then the last thing I wanted to say, I look forward to the additional communication on that credit card fee to ensure that our ratepayers get all the information and understanding of how to avoid it. So, yeah, that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Again, let me echo comments made regarding Steve and Jerry and the communications customer service team. Thank you so much for your providing the information necessary for our customers to be made aware as to how they can avoid the 2% fee. Want to also thank Mr. Snyder for the kudos, and I really appreciate. We do want both sides. Amen. We want the kudos as well as the reprimands or the holding us accountable for our elected position. Thank you so much.
Mr. Bradley Lopez?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board members, community members, first and foremost, happy Black History Month. Would like to start off with that. Thank you, staff, for the presentations and the updates. I'm grateful and thankful to hear these things. Kudos to the BPU team, especially during the winter storm. I would say I could imagine what it's like to be without water, but my pipes froze this winter storm, so I know what it's like to be without water. And so in the case that you all help people be with water, I am grateful for the work that you all have done. And to Mr. Green, congratulations on your many years of service here at BPU. 37 years on a job. I've never been at a job longer than 2 years. And so it's great to see that there's longevity there, and hopefully I can do that in the career that I'm in. One thing Ms. Mary Gonzalez always told me as I got onto the board was never forget about water. And so I'll make you that promise right now, Mr. Green, that I will never forget about water. And I'll make sure that's always one of the things that are at the top of my mind when it comes to our public utility. So congratulations. It was really great to see the update by Mr. Jerry on the security of our information technology and cyber world from BPU. After getting to see a lot of the technology and software that you all use at orientation, I understand how crucial your job is and your team is to BPU. And so I'm grateful for the work that you all have done to ensure that, one, we are being proactive, especially at a time like this, at a time where technology is continuing to grow. And when technology is so free as it is, you can hack like you can. And so the fact that you all have made the proactive steps forward allows me a little to be feel a little bit safer in this utility compared to those that have encountered what they encountered. And just congratulations on being one of the top 5. That's takes a lot of work, and the fact that you all were able to do that in the budget that you all had says a lot about the work that you all were able to do. And so thank you for that presentation, and thank you for the work that you all have done. I do want to share that I have heard some of the concerns from community members when it came to the 2% processing fee. And I'll say this, I think I had there was mixed reviews when it came to it. Some folks were very much like, well, everyone else takes a 2% processing fee. Actually, where I pay rent right now takes a 4% processing fee. And so, but the thing is, that's my only option for paying rent. This is not my only option for paying my BPU bill. And there's other accessibilities and ways to pay your BPU bill. And I understand that it is a burden to some folks and it isn't to others. Technically, it is a burden to me. It's $17. That's a meal at Aldi's for me. And so I won't be paying it with the credit card fee anymore, but I'm grateful that there's other avenues to pay my bill. Whether it's me going to take out money from my bank or a check and going to the kiosk, whether it's going to the Dropbox, dropping off my check or money order, whether it's putting it in the mail heads a day, a couple of days ahead, or if it's calling and then putting my bank account on there, or just simply connecting my bank draft. And so those right there are about 7 other options that you have where you don't have to pay the 2% processing fee. And while I do understand that credit card at this point was one of the most effective and efficient ways to pay your bill, I will say that I had a community member come and yell at me about the 2% processing fee. And then they did their math, and 2 hours later called me back and said, "Oh, that's the same amount that I would take out for my checking, the checking fee, or taking my money out the ATM fee to pay the bill." And so there's that. So I hope that helps to the community members that are listening to know the other ways that you can pay. And I look forward to the communication team for the work that you all do to engage with community members and educate them in other ways that they can pay their bill. Those are all the board comments that I have today. Thank you.
Ms. Mulvaney Henry?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I've spoken all night, so I don't really have any comments this evening.
Fair enough. I'll echo a lot of the comments that have been made. Really appreciated all of the presentations tonight. Jerry, it's always sobering to hear the cybersecurity presentations and all the work that you all do to continually keep this utility and our community safe from those attacks. I think it just illustrates, one of the many operations the utility does that is serious work to make sure that that everyone has water and power. And as we heard multiple people speak to, the work of the teams through the winter storm made a large impact as well. I agree with many of the comments that have been made about the credit card fee. I think it probably is worth saying, I hope that no one has to pay a 2% fee because we're not collecting that as the BPU. That is not money that we keep in this community. It's money that gets passed on to those outside entities. And so appreciate highlighting all of those ways that we just take that out of the equation entirely. And it is not the community picking up the cost. It's not the individual ratepayers picking up the cost, but we can just remove that piece from the equation altogether and make sure that we're giving everyone the best possible deal for power and for water. Steve, I know you're probably going to hear accolades and appreciation every day from here to the end of the month, but I just want to add mine as well. In the short time I've been on the board, I've really appreciated your kindness to us as board members, but also the willingness to, share what's going on in your department and the accomplishments. It was clear 2 years ago when I did the tour of the water department, how much pride your whole team takes in that work. And I think that's a reflection of your leadership. And so just want to thank you for your many years of service to the community and wish you a happy retirement. Also just want to thank our members of the public who came and offered their comments as well. It's always appreciated, both the accountability and the kudos. So, yeah, with that, I believe next on our agenda is an executive session. I don't believe there is any intent to take any action on the other side of that. So just FYI for anyone listening along or attending otherwise, though you're welcome to stick around for that adjournment motion. Angie, do we have a motion for the executive session?
The proposed motion for adoption is as follows. I move that after taking a 2-minute break, the board go into executive session in the first floor conference room for 15 minutes to discuss general manager goals pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act under KSA 754319B1, and that Council Angela Lawson and General Manager Jeremy Ash as needed be present to participate in the discussion, and that we reconvene in open session at 7:46 p.m. to either take action or adjourn.
This is Rose, so moved.
Wait a second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Discussion, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
This is Haley. Just wanted to say, I just wanted to place the adjournment. I appreciate your sharing that there'll be anticipated no action taken after executive session, and ask that I be excused so that I will not participate in the adjournment motion when it comes back. And optimistically, based on your representation, Mr. President, there will be no further need of voting this evening on my behalf. If I understand that correctly.
Yes, and appreciate the heads up on that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries. We will now move into executive session.
All right, we are back in regular session, the regular meeting of the Board of Public Utilities. Time I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
This
Motion
is
to-
Rose, so moved.
Oh,
Cook second.
well,
Okay. Me, you. Okay.
all right,
I'll
it has
tell-
been moved and seconded to adjourn.
Chase.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Bradley Lopez,
Aye.
Cook,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
That motion carries. We are adjourned.
Aye. Haley, aye.
Oh, I apologize, Haley.
I know.
I did not.
thought, thank
I
you.
thought you
Yes,
were
I know.
dropping off.
I thought so. I was still on. Thank you. I appreciate it though. I hung in.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.